I used to believe that once you drive into your compound, you're safe. That once the gate closes behind you, the danger stays outside. That night, I learned how wrong I was. I had just come back from work, tired, distracted, thinking only about rest. The engine of my car was still running. The air condition was on, filling the car with cold air. I hadn't even removed my seatbelt. Then something changed. The silence felt heavy. And before my brain could process it, 6 armed men appeared from nowhere. No warning. No footsteps. Just guns, and eyes staring straight at me. They ordered me to open the door. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. If I opened that door, I might never see my wife and children again. So I refused. Minutes passed. I sat there, trapped inside my own car, listening to my heartbeat pound louder than the engine. And then, the glass shattered. That sound is something that still wakes me up at night. This is not a movie. This is not fiction. This is the true story of the night I drove home, and 6 armed men were waiting for me. My name is Sammy. I've told this story only a few times in my life. Not because I don't remember it, but because I remember it too well. Some nights, I still replay everything in my head. Every sound, every decision, every second I wish I could take back. People think the danger ends once an attack is over. They're wrong. The night stays with you. It follows you home. It follows you into your sleep. What happened to me didn't just leave scars on my body. It changed the way I listen to silence. The way I lock my doors. The way I walk into my own compound. I'm telling this story now because it's real. Because it happened. And because it could happen to anyone who believes they're safe the moment they get home. This is not a warning. This is not a lesson. This is my experience. Exactly as it happened. I had just returned from a long, exhausting day at work. My body was tired, my mind was already drifting toward rest. All I wanted was to park, step inside, and sleep. As I drove into my compound, everything felt normal. Too normal. The gate closed behind me with a heavy sound. That familiar sound that always meant safety. My engine was still running. The air condition was on, filling the car with cool air. I hadn't even removed my seatbelt yet. I sat there for a moment, breathing, unwinding. Then, something felt wrong. Not a sound. Not a movement. Just a sudden pressure in my chest. Before I could fully turn my head, 6 armed men appeared. 1 second the compound was empty. The next second, they were everywhere. They came from the darkness like shadows breaking loose. They surrounded my car. I saw guns in their hands. Real guns. Pointed directly at me. One of them shouted for me to open the door. My hands froze on the steering wheel. My heart began to race. I looked around. 6 men, 6 weapons, no escape. And I made a decision. I refused. I stayed inside the car. Windows up. Doors locked. The air condition kept blowing, cold and steady, as if nothing was happening. They shouted again. Louder. Angrier. I didn't move. Seconds stretched into minutes. Inside the car, I could hear my own breathing. My heartbeat was louder than the engine. I kept thinking. If I open this door, everything ends. Then it happened. A loud crash. The windscreen exploded. Glass burst inward, cutting my skin. Before I could react, the side windows shattered too. Hands forced their way in. They unlocked the door. They dragged me out of the car violently. My feet hit the ground hard. Before I could stand, fists and kicks came from every direction. I was beaten. Overwhelmed. Over there. The pain came fast and without mercy. I knew then. This was no robbery gone wrong. This was an ambush. If you were surrounded like this inside your car, would you open the door, or stay locked in? At what point do you think survival decisions become instinct rather than choice? They thought the beating would break me. It didn't. Even as blows landed on my body, something inside me refused to shut down. Fear was there, but training took over. I am a black belt in martial arts. My body reacted before my mind could catch up. I pushed back. I struck where I could. I twisted free from their grip. I used everything I had learned over the years. For a brief moment, the situation changed. I saw hesitation in their movements. I felt their grip weaken. 6 men. 6 guns. Yet they were struggling to control me. That moment was dangerous, because when people with guns start losing control, they become desperate. I could hear them shouting at each other. Angry. Frustrated. I was breathing hard now. My muscles burned. My vision narrowed. Still, I fought. Not because I believed I would win. But because surrender felt like death. Then everything shifted. One of them stepped back. I didn't see it coming. He raised his gun and swung it with full force. The impact landed on my head. A heavy, crushing blow. For a split second, there was no sound at all. Then pain exploded. Warm liquid rushed down my face. Blood. So much blood. My legs weakened instantly. The ground felt unsteady beneath me. The world tilted. I heard their voices, but they sounded distant now. They told me to take them into the house. In that moment, I understood something clearly. I was losing strength. Every second I stayed on my feet was borrowed time. If I continued to resist, I wouldn't make it out alive. I thought of my wife. I thought of my children. I stopped fighting. Not because I was defeated, but because I wanted to live. I nodded. And I turned toward the house. Should survival come before pride when facing armed attackers? At what point does fighting back become more dangerous than giving in? As we stepped into the house, I felt my knees almost give out. Every step was heavy. Blood from my head dripped onto the floor, leaving a trail behind me. My vision blurred, but I could still see the shadows moving around me. The house felt wrong. It was my own home, but it didn't feel like mine anymore. Every familiar corner seemed threatening. Every sound sounded louder than it should. I could hear the men breathing, whispering to each other. Their guns glinted in the dim light. And I realized, they were sizing everything up, inspecting every detail. Then it hit me. My wife. My children. I had been focused on surviving, but now fear for them hit me harder than any physical blow. I crept further inside. Every step careful, every movement deliberate. My heart pounded so loudly I thought they could hear it. Then I heard a sound. A small, strange noise from the living room. I froze. I couldn't tell if they noticed I paused. I soon realized my wife had woken up. I could picture her, rushing to the children's room, her heart racing. She locked the door. Switched off the lights. I imagined the children lying on the floor, frozen, trying not to make a sound. They didn't know I was bleeding just a few rooms away. They didn't know their father was being forced to walk through their home while armed men looted everything. I wanted to call out to them, to tell them to stay calm, but I knew any sound could cost us our lives. So I stayed silent, moving like a shadow between them and the intruders. Every instinct screamed to fight, to run, to protect my family. But my body was weak. Every step took effort. Every breath hurt. And then I realized, their attention was on the valuables, not on me or my family, for now. But the fear, the helplessness, it was suffocating. Knowing my loved ones were just a few feet away, completely unaware of the danger, it was unbearable. I prayed silently, willing them to stay hidden, to stay quiet, while I tried to control my own shaking body. If you were in my wife's position, would you hide or confront the intruders? How would you keep your children calm in a life-threatening situation like this? I stood there, barely able to hold myself up. Blood from my head dripped down onto the floor, and I could feel it sticky on my hands. The armed men were moving through my house like predators. Every step they took sounded deliberate, confident. Every word they muttered was a threat, though I couldn't understand all of it. They started taking everything valuable. Gold. Diamonds. Cash. Money that my family had saved for years. They rifled through drawers and cupboards as if the house itself belonged to them. I could see the glint of gold in their hands. I could see my wife and children lying on the floor, silent, hidden, terrified. Then they moved to the walls. They ripped valuable paintings from their frames. Trophies. Memorabilia. Everything that meant something to us. I tried to step forward. I tried to say something. But the blood and pain made me weak. Every word caught in my throat. Every step felt like walking through sand. And the worst part, I couldn't protect them. I couldn't stop them. I could only watch. I felt rage and fear mix inside me, but my body betrayed me. I was bleeding, exhausted, and helpless. Then one of them turned to me. "Give us the car keys." My stomach dropped. I realized my wife and children were still in the house. I could not risk a confrontation. If I said no, they could hurt them. So I handed over my keys. The armed men smirked as they left. They had taken my car, my possessions, and left me there, bleeding, weak, terrified. I wanted to chase them. I wanted to scream. I wanted to do something, anything. But I could barely stand. My legs shook beneath me. The blood on my face blurred my vision. My mind was spinning, trying to process the horror that had just unfolded. I realized how close I had come to losing everything, not just my possessions, but my family, my life. If someone asked you for your car in a situation like this, would you hand it over to protect your family, or risk everything to resist? Do you think intruders act randomly, or do they plan their attacks carefully? The car engine roared to life, carrying my possessions, and the armed men, away into the darkness. For a moment, I just stood there. The silence of the house hit me like a blow. Every echo of their footsteps seemed to linger in the walls. I could hear the dripping of my own blood. My chest heaved. My head pounded. I was dizzy, weak, barely able to stay on my feet. Then instinct kicked in. I ran. I stumbled, blood pouring down my face, leaving a trail across my living room floor. I shouted at the top of my lungs, desperate for someone, anyone, to hear me. Help! Help! Every second felt like an eternity. I ran into the compound, barefoot. The cool night air mixed with the warm trickle of blood running down my neck. My heart was hammering. Every breath burned. I could see lights flicking on in the neighborhood. People were coming out, drawn by my desperate shouts. Their faces blurred, but I could feel hope ignite inside me. Neighbors rushed toward me. They saw the blood, the pain, the fear in my eyes. They helped me to the hospital, wrapping me carefully, trying to stop the bleeding. The police were alerted. I survived. But surviving didn't erase the terror. It didn't erase the memory of my own helplessness, or the feeling of armed men walking freely through my home. It didn't erase the image of my wife and children lying silently on the floor, unaware of the danger just a few feet away. Even now, weeks later, months later, the sound of shattering glass still echoes in my mind. The memory of the gun hitting my head still flashes across my vision. And the silence after they left, haunts me the most. Haunting closing, first person. Surviving a home invasion doesn't end with the intruders leaving. It stays with you. It follows you into your bedroom. It follows you into the hallway. It follows you into the quietest moments of the night. Every shadow becomes suspicious. Every knock at the door makes your heart stop. Because the most terrifying part, the part that never leaves, is this: they were waiting for me. They walked through my home. And no one knew. Until today, I still wake up in the dark, listening, praying I never hear that sound again. How would you react if you survived something like this? Would you feel safe in your own home again? What steps would you take to protect your family after experiencing a home invasion like this? I've shared my story tonight, what happened to me, what I survived, and what still haunts me in the darkness. But this isn't the only story like this. There are others, stories even darker, even more terrifying, waiting in the shadows. Stories of people just like you, who thought they were safe, until the unimaginable happened. If you want to hear them, if you want to know what really lurks in the quiet corners of our world, make sure you stay with me. Subscribe, turn on the notifications, and stay close. Because the next story might make you sleep with the lights on. And remember, in the dead of night, danger isn't always far away. Sometimes, it's closer than you think.